Most controversial advertising campaigns ever. Friends of Princess Diana have reacted with anger and revulsion after a French advert used her fatal car crash to promote assisted dying. Now, we're going to show you the poster now. If you feel in any way it might upset you, just look away for a moment. The campaign shows a picture of a mangled car in a tunnel with the caption, "Diana, she did not choose her death in 2024. We should have the choice." It's provoked an immediate storm with friends and politicians, branding it vile, disgusting, repugnant and hideous. The reaction was so strong that they've now taken that image down, and I actually can't believe it was allowed to go through in the first place. However, it was intended to highlight a very sensitive issue. We know assisted dying, it's in the news quite a bit at the moment. It's a very personal discussion that people are having within families right now. But what did you think of that, Brenda? Just as I mean,
yeah,
they're using it to catch your attention.
Well, I didn't look, so it didn't catch my attention. So I didn't look. I'm not going to look because I think it's absolutely disgusting, and they should be ashamed of using that to highlight assisted dying, which is something that is so sensitive to so many people. To use such a traumatic tragedy as Lady Di's death in that way is very disrespectful, it's disgusting, it's insensitive. I don't even know how they're even still doing what they're, publicising or what. I don't know how they're not shut down, let alone take it off. There should be a full apology for that because, that's such a traumatic experience that people are still affected by. And, obviously her children will always be affected by it. It's just, disgusting.
It is, totally agree. I think every adjective that was used in your link is correct. It's repugnant, it's tasteless, it's everything. However, the whole aspect with Esther Rantzen having publicised it, and Esther has a very personal reason for wanting the choice of if you feel you want to go to Dignitas, and you want the choice if you're in pain or that's what you want to do. And so it is going to be discussed in the Commons. And so she's got that far. On one hand, I could say that Esther changed so many laws during her lifetime of work that it would be extraordinary if she just changed this law or at least gets it discussed, in whatever number of years Esther has. Please God, she has got many, many years to go. Here's the point from my personal point of view. As I understand it, I know it's all about choice and that people should have the choice, perhaps. Yeah. But as I understand it, when you go to Dignitas, none of your family or your friends, your nearest and dearest, can go in with you. So from my personal perspective, I can't imagine waving goodbye to my family at an airport or a train station or them standing outside the building. I just can't see that. So for me, at this stage, and of course none of us know how we're going to end up, but I just couldn't even contemplate that. But I do understand that many, many people want choice, and that's what Esther is actually fighting for. And it'll be very interesting to see when it is discussed in the Commons how far that law actually goes. My big worry, I suppose, is the abuse of that law, because we all know that lots of people could easily abuse that system if it was very easy to kill your mother, your father, whoever you want rid of, kind of thing, just to get the money. And unfortunately, some people do think like that. And the abuse would worry me a lot. And so it needs to be regulated, thought through properly, if it does pass the law, and have a proper structure to it so that people have what I would call a clean choice and an acceptable choice to everybody.
It's a very, very sensitive subject, and it's like you say, the Gloria, you don't know that Esther and people who are of sound mind but are just really, really struggling. None of us know what it's like, touch wood, until you're in that point. You are at the point of no return when you feel like you have to go through with that.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very difficult thing to even remotely consider, but sadly it is the conversation we have to be having now before you get to that stage, and that's kind of where we're at, isn't it?
Well, if I found out I was terminally ill, I wouldn't want to be a burden on my kids and my grandchildren. I wouldn't want them to see me slowly dying or whatever. But But when my mum was ill, she was in a hospice for 5 months, and we went to visit her every day. And when she died, people often talk about lovely births, but they never talk about lovely deaths. But my mum had a lovely death because she died peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by her 3 daughters and my cousin Jackie. And we were all in the room, we fell asleep, and then the nurse tapped me on the shoulder and said, "She's gone, Linda." I went, "Where's she gone?" And she went, "No, Linda, she's gone." And that. Whereas my dad had quite a painful death. So he had lung cancer and he was diagnosed quite late on and that. So if I had the choice... Actually, my daughter's taking me to Switzerland in May. I don't know if she's dropping me off there. She's taking me to Switzerland for her birthday. I think she's going to celebrate getting rid of me.
I think it's everybody's, you know, would love to die with dignity.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and back to what you were saying, Gloria, there were some people, unfortunately, in the pandemic that had loved ones who never got that choice to actually die with dignity themselves. So it's your life. I think you should have that choice. And if you're going through pain and suffering mentally, physically, you should have that choice. And I think it's just fair for your family to accept your personal wishes.
I just want to very quickly say, on the back really of what you're saying, Linda, about your mum fortunately having a lovely death, I know that your mum passed in a hospice. And I do think that hospices these days do a wonderful job in dealing with pain and giving people that peace and giving the family the peace of watching their loved one. So I think they do an excellent job.
Because they not only looked after my mum, they looked after us as well. They were amazing.
Definitely.
And that's it is a family discussion. That's the whole point. This is not just for the one person that's maybe having to go through it. It's the entire family that are suffering along with you, isn't it?
Yes. And I mean, for example, Christine, could you think of going to a place like Dignitas? I mean...
Well, no, but who knows?
Who knows? That's the point.
I really do feel like that, and I certainly don't... If someone feels that that's what they want to do, it's entirely their call. I completely understand if you're at that point. I wouldn't argue with anyone wanting to do what they want to do. I really wouldn't.